Welcome back to the Let's Have It podcast. We're sat here today with Peter Mytton-Bayley from the LED Studio, which has been a long time coming. ClearVC collaborates with the LED Studio on all things LED when it comes to installing impressive spaces. So we're here to talk all things LED, what the LED Studio are up to in the market, and where they differentiate themselves. Welcome, Peter. Could you start by giving us a bit of a background on yourself and the LED Studio?
Yes, hi, welcome, and thank you for having me up here as well. I've been doing AV now for probably about 40 years, so quite a long time. I'm actually very old, I joined LED Studio at the beginning of this year because I could foresee exactly how they were moving forward. Mm-hmm. Also the fact that we're a wholly owned UK company as well, including our factory, which is out in Zhuzhou in China. It's just a really good English company to work for. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was going to say what sets the LED Studio apart from everyone else, because there's a lot of LEDs out there at the moment. Yeah. I mean, actually, firstly, before we go into that, for those that don't know, do you want to explain what we mean by LED and then go into sort of what sets you guys apart?
So LED is a light emitting diode. It's a diode that either sits on top of a PCB board or it is enclosed in plastic. So there are a few variants. Well, actually there's more than a few variants now of it. You've got standard SMD, surface mounted diode. You then have COB, chip on board, which is covered in a hard plastic resin. You have glue on board as well, which is an SMD that is covered in glue. And if you run your hands across them, you can actually feel the differences. So SMD will be rough. You'll be able to damage the pixels, which is the reason why we tend not to use it as much these days. Glue on board will seal that in, but it gives a sort of wavy effect. Very, very faint wavy effect, so it's not completely smooth because when the glue dries out, it shrinks very slightly. Mm-hmm. And then chip on board, COB is completely smooth, and they're very difficult to damage, They are individual pixels on there, so you've got your red, green, blue pixel actually sitting in a black epoxy resin with a hard coat resin over the top of it. So very, very hard to break.
So, you've sort of touched on it a little bit, right? It's all UK based, which is not something you really see with LED, but what else sets LED Studio apart? Our
owner, he is our design engineer as well, so if you wanted something bespoke or specific, he would be able to make it for you. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that we look at everything with a green environmental area now, so things like Eclipse, which turns LEDs off completely. Mm-hmm. On a standard LED video wall, you're talking about saving in excess of £1,100, £1,200 purely in electricity alone.
Is that per year?
Yeah. And I mean, there was, sorry, I'm just going to go off to a slightly different one.
Go for it.
There was a case actually of a very large retail store in London during COVID that were getting £16,000 bills, electricity bills, even though everything was supposedly shut off. And what happened is that they just turned the LEDs black, so everything else was still running in the background, and that's where the power consumption was. We believe that there is a whole series of things. Heat, the power that we actually do, we produce very, very little heat off our system. We believe in the green environmental policies that we should all be adhering to, like recycled packaging, all of that. And we try and sea ship as much as we possibly can as well, rather than, aircraft and then having to plant 4 million trees, to compensate for the carbon offset at that point. So that's what makes us different.
Okay, and so you see a bit of a trend in I guess, like ESG targets and that kind of thing. And is there any other sort of trends that you guys are seeing in organisations, how they're sort of utilising LED technology?
It's the wastage as well. So the majority of LEDs can actually be recycled in some form or another. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're looking at LCD, the actual liquid crystal itself is highly toxic. And you can't replace LCDs at all. Once the LCD's gone, that's it. It's irreplaceable. Where we're talking about modules which are 500 by 500, rather than, you know, a 98 or 110 inch LCD screen. I mean, that is literally a write-off at that point. Yeah. So, and also things like longevity. So a LCD should last around about 50, 60,000 hours. A LED wall will last anything up to 100,000 hours, which...
It's quite a significant difference.
Hugely.
For any organisations that are sort of in that stage at the moment where they are using, say, LCDs or standard displays, what should they be looking at sort of to get started with LED in that sense? And so what's the best first step for them?
Actually look at what you need it for. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about desktop monitors, then no, LED's not for you.
Obviously.
If you're talking for boardrooms though, depending, I mean, we do all-in-ones, 130-inch all-in-ones, you know, and those are perfect for sort of medium-sized boardrooms as well. Plus they also have everything inbuilt into them, so you can just plug and play with them. And it gives that you know, again, the power consumption and everything else that they need to look at. So if they're looking at their green credentials for the company, then LED is definitely the way forward at the moment. But look at what the power actually is and heat and everything else. You've got to remember that not only does it's the standard power consumption of the LED, it's also the fact if it produces a lot of heat, the HVAC, the high voltage air conditioning, needs to kick up, and that adds more energy to your bills. So the less heat that's output from the LED or LCD, guess what? Yeah, the HVAC doesn't need to kick up. So.
Not to break the fourth wall, but we actually do have an energy efficiency calculator for offices, so you can actually check that as well. There'll be a link, I believe, at the bottom of this that'll be added by our team. So we see a lot around sort of like indoor LEDs at the moment. We see a lot in sort of receptions, that kind of thing. And it's usually built around signage.
Yeah.
So how is this sort of evolving, and is there anything businesses should really be thinking about when choosing a solution like this?
Well, we did a pound consumption for a very large fast food chain very recently. They gave me a random store to go and visit. So I went in there, calculated exactly what they're using with their LCDs. Came back, worked out if we changed it, how much money it would actually save. And I think we worked it out at about £53,000 a year, just purely on energy that they actually have, and also the ease of use as well. So instead of actually having the media players within the unit, we can fibre optic those back into the main restaurants at that point as well. So they wouldn't have to shut them down, they wouldn't have to close off lanes. These are for like drive-throughs as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then, you know, they could actually just work on the racks within the stores themselves. Yeah, they actually came back to us saying, yeah, that's a really clever idea. So
cool. I mean, this is a bit of a tenuous link. It's only because you'd mentioned fast food lanes, but I mean, if you don't know this, obviously we can adapt these LEDs for outdoor environments as well. So touch a little bit more on that. So what sort of considerations need to be taken when we're designing outdoor LED, and what that signage looks like? Not just the big billboards that you see on the side of the road, but maybe some sort of smaller scale use cases that you see as well.
So currently at the moment we've got a 0.9mm COB product that is actually going into outdoor enclosures.
Okay.
Fully waterproof, 4,000 nits, so it's ultra bright as well. So what used to be the traditional series that go on the outdoors, you know, in their enclosures, in their waterproof IP65 and IP66 enclosures, now it can be actually changed out for back-to-backs or single, you know, fronted LEDs now. So we're actually now at the stage, and it's to do with the resolution as well for these outdoor products, or the signage products as well. You had to get a decent resolution, whereas originally we weren't able to produce the decent resolution. Now, because we've dropped the pixel pitch down to 0.9 and the brightness up, guess what? We can now do that as well. So again, it's efficiencies all round, and they've also got auto dimming, which saves everything, you know, saves power, heat, light, the lot.
So have you seen, I mean, I sort of alluded to it before, but any sort of impressive shall we say, ways that customers are using their LEDs across the board to enhance their office space or maybe their brand storytelling, something along those lines?
Well, of course, there's Auto Trader, and this has been the collaboration between LED Studio and ClearVC. Auto Trader has a fantastic foyer system, that is using ClearVC within there, and it just looks so impressive. It's a superb install. Yeah, Auto Trader's one of probably the best ones that I've seen for a long time, actually.
We actually have a case study coming up on that soon, so keep your eyes out for that. I suppose what's next on the horizon for the LED Studio? What are you guys seeing? Any trends? Where are you guys going? What's next?
Oh, that's always a good one, isn't it? Currently at the moment, what we're aiming at and what we're looking at is to create more and more power efficiencies on our products. There is chip on glass coming as well soon, but that's a little way off. We have another product in there called MIP, which is made in packet, where all 3 diodes are in a 0.63 millimeter diode packet, where everything sits on the front of the board. And we're also looking at a LED or diode manufacturer over in America called Cree. Okay. And you guys probably know them from torches, ultra bright torches that you can purchase. Cree are probably the brightest LED manufacturer around at the moment. Okay. So we showed at our ISE a Cree LED Studio collaboration of 50,000 nits, not 5,000 nits that you see by the side, but 50,000 nits, and it daylighted ISE when we put it on. So, yeah.
What's the use case for something like that? I can't.
It would be, maybe? Strangely, it would be Australia, places like that. Australia, the Middle East, where it's incredibly bright. Okay. And then obviously, would put a photosensor in there, which would, as nighttime. Otherwise, you could see
permanent daytime. That's very interesting. I was going to ask about ISE and what you showed, but is there anything else that you guys were showing out there that was?
Yeah, we showed Edge Eye as well, which is our collaboration with Intel. Fundamentally, it's a video wall in a box. So it's 55-inch, and you can link 6 of them together really, really simply, and it's a plug and play system on that. We showed our Edge series as well, which is for video wall, standard LCD video wall replacement. So we showed our 43, 54 and our 65 while we're out there as well. And then we showed Gemini as well, which is 27mm deep, dual-sided hanging poster as well. So there was a few new products that we actually showed while we were out there, and then obviously the collaboration with Cree as well was on the stand.
Fantastic. So thank you for coming in. We really do appreciate it, Peter. If you do have a project where you are looking at something like an LED and we can help with, please feel free to reach out to us. We can add a phone call or drop us an email. And thanks again for listening to the Let's Have It podcast.